And my favorite pickup, I have it right here. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to show it very clearly to the camera.
Ooh, it's great. Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, McCaffrey.
This is the Yes, the 2017 Select Concourse level Black Prism one of one of McCaffrey.
Jameel Muhammad and Jeff Cardozo dive into the hobby, which is sports cards, trading cards, as well as all other collectibles, right now on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast, live from the Coaches Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill.
All right, wake up.
I gotta be here.
It is time. He has made it back from the National. It is episode 9 of the Meelypod Hobby Podcast. Jeff Cardozo, Jameel Muhammad, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to get after it. What's up, man?
I am. My voice is a little different. It's better than it was 2 days ago, but I am tired. I'm getting old, man. I was, you stand for like 7 days straight.
Yeah.
And I had an old knee injury, and the seventh day I was hurting, man. So I don't know. I might have to get some ops done. But it was a wild week, and we missed you there. Maybe next year in Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cubs are there,
Yes.
the White Sox. Cardinals are down the street. So, but we might have to bring you out. But the National 2024 in Cleveland was everything that we expected it to be and more. So really, really, really had a great time, and it's a little bit of a blur right now still. So we're processing it.
We are coming to you from our Meldon Law studios. Meldon Law, we won't back down. Of course, broadcasting from the Coaches Podcast Room here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point in Gainesville. So that's a long way to drive, but you got to throw everything into the van and then some and get after it. So of course I wasn't there, so I'm giddy right now. And for those of you that weren't able to take part of this, I think this will be fun because some of the things I saw on Instagram and online and just looking at it, I don't know if you can even describe it. Like, I'm sure you'll try to, but it looked like it was one of the most amazing, coolest things ever.
Yeah, I mean, this is our 9th year doing it, over 10 years of the COVID year. And every year I go, I'm still amazed by the amount of people that travel from everywhere for this. It's not just our country. I had so many people from Europe, Australia. You know what I mean? The Asian market is massive.
Really?
We have a young gentleman. His name is Zhu. He works for the shop. He's going back to China soon, but he knows Mandarin, right? And so we have a lot of these Chinese guys that come up. Huge market over there, and using him as a translator on deals happened like 7 times.
Really?
And so that was a fun thing because basketball in China, as many of you all know, is huge. And so they're getting into soccer. Soccer's huge, F1's huge, but they're getting into football and things as well. And just getting to interact with people from all over the world, not just our country. So a lot of Cardinals fans came through. Pujols was signing. He was probably about 300 yards from us, and so I didn't get a chance to go back there. It was pretty crazy.
And you're not starstruck because you've seen him before.
Sure.
You've been around him.
Sure.
But it's still got to be cool. Yeah. I remember going to Fenway one day, and it was actually when he and Shohei were on the Angels, and I got batting practice passes, so I'm down there watching BP, and Pujols came over and was talking to a few people, and you're mesmerized at the dude's like forearms. Yeah. I'm like, holy smokes. But I mean, that's probably just ordinary there at the shop. Just guys walking around left and right that a pretty big deal.
We'll talk. I mean, maybe we won't talk about it later. But Jake Larrivee is he plays for Memphis Grizzlies. He was drafted 2 years ago in basketball. He's just buying cards at our booth, and then like it was a funny moment. It really shout out to him because it's really cool. These guys are standing next to him, and they kept like looking up, and he's talking to me about this massive Michael Jordan card that we picked up at the event, and he's buying big cards, and he goes, he's talking to me, and the gentleman next to him goes, "Don't you play basketball?" And then he goes, "Yeah." And then he says, "Oh, wow, that's cool. What's your name?" Then he tells him, and this kind of one of the awkward moments. And I'm just watching this awkward moment unfold. But Jake was so nice. He just literally says, "Do you want an autograph card?" And then I'm thinking he's going to pull out some base card. He actually pulls out a next day card from, it's one of the case hits kind of hard. And he signed it for him. He goes, "You guys have a Sharpie?" He signed it for him. And I know his original cards were in blacking. So this is like a blue ink one. It'd be like a 1 of 1. And he just gives this guy a card. So that world of like the walls, right? Of billionaires walking around to the guy digging through 10-cent boxes, the demographics of the National, which is young kids to, 85, 90, 95-year-old men. I didn't see any 95-year-old women, but there was a lot of there. I mean, shout out to the ladies. There was a lot of women at this event, which is showing there's a group called Women in Tops. There's a group called Women in Cards, and they are doing a great job getting female collectors going. And there's a lot of talk about Katie Ledecky at this because they just came out with a Topps Chrome Olympic set last Friday, and so she has patch autos, and so it's just the whole world is just evolving into a more sophisticated, much more educated. I think our guest today is going to be great to talk about that with Cardladder, but I'm just taken back by how many people are involved in it. And I heard the attendance was somewhere in that 85 to 90,000 range. I think they're tabulating numbers, so that was very close to last year's, which is amazing.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And how amazing was it for the staff? I know you threw a whole bunch of people in the car and said, "Let's go, let's get after it." How did you guys do?
So it's a funny story. One of our guys named Joe, who he's told me, he goes, not that I don't want to drive there, but I like to fly. I was like, all right, it's cool. Now this is like 4 weeks ago. So what happened, a week and a half ago?
Oh yeah.
So it's like it was the week of, right before. So Delta and all the issues. So we're looking and we're looking at flights out of Gainesville and the cancellations that are happening every other day. So it comes up to Sunday and we're about to leave, and I go, Joe, do you want to ride with us? And he goes, I think I'm gonna chance it. So he chances it, and his flights got canceled.
Oh,
so
gosh.
he drove his car all the way up, I think on Monday it was, and he got there late Monday night, and he was just all wired and going, and so he made it up there. But we took a team of 8. 2 other guys flew in, and Joe was supposed to be flying in, so he actually drove, so I'm counting on that. And it was like a smorgasbord of everything you can imagine. So our booth was just like our shop. You got wax everywhere, you got singles everywhere, but we also had a buying area where it was kind of at the far end of our booth, where that was where like people you want to buy cards would go to. We had computers down there. The internet was really atrocious there, so making that work, had to jump through some hoops. And then at the other end of our booth, we had our safe where we put all the like high end stuff and the money, and then we had our high end cards and like the constancy of where the like action was happening. And it's not a big space. It was probably like 10 by 10 that I was in the whole week with my wife and a guy named Kong and my dad, and then some of the other guys would kind of help in between. But the staff, I mean, they did an amazing job. I think we probably were the best, and I don't say this lightly, the best and most efficient booth at the National. I think that, and for selection, like to be able to come to a booth, to have an array of wax, boxes, packs, cases, to be able to buy and sell cards quickly, efficiently, get paid fairly, to have a selection of stuff that's flipping and it's priced fairly, and then of course our non-sports section, which we're big in, Pokemon, TCG, all the other stuff we had, was amazing. Moved some big cards at the show. We put some videos up on YouTube. You can check it out on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast YouTube channel. But please go check out those videos. We'll have our last video posting this evening, which will be the last recap. But can see some of the action from that POV,
Well, no, it's awesome. I mean, was there a difference between the wax and the single cards and all that, or was it just kind of everybody was looking for everything?
So last year we took a lot more wax that was more potent, so like a lot of higher end wax. And this year we took much more affordable wax, I think. And what I noticed is we sold more wax last year in terms of gross numbers versus the singles. This year we sold, I would say last year it'd be about a 70-30 split. This year was definitely I got to look at the numbers. We just got back. So, but about a 55-45 or a 50-50 split between singles and I'll just say wax and everything else. And I think that shows a little bit about where the market's at. People are smarter. They're more savvy. They're not always ripping wax. They're not always do the gambling side. And the single market, to sell a card for $500 to $1,000 where people will negotiate is okay. That's fairly common. But to sell cards at $5,000, $10,000, we sold a Connor McDavid for $32,000. I mean, these kinds of cards that are just like bang, 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 and people are paying and negotiating fairly is very unheard of, And so I think people are realizing that there is a inherent value in the singles, and we're going to start to see singles market increase as wax prices, continue to increase.
Sure.
So it's exciting to see that, and people. One of my pet peeves of the National is the trades, because people want to trade with you. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. We didn't have a lot of that, but I think people this year were much more understanding, didn't really have any issues, any drama, which was great. And I just really got to talk to people, hook up kids here and there, and laugh with people, hook people up here and there with whatever we're doing with deals, and it was just a fun time.
Is it, as you're saying the trade stuff, it makes me think as fantasy football is about to start with drafts all over the country, you get those early offers. Hey, I'll trade you, my third string running back for your, your best quarterback and like all these, like, is it like that, or people trying to offer you, or is it pretty fair when you're going through all that?
I would say the majority is fair.
Good.
Most times, and this is a kind of, for people who go to card shows, you might want to think about this for a second. It used to always be a line, a demarcation of the dealer side and the customer side, and the dealer always had to win. And I think for me, if someone is fair, I don't necessarily have to win. I think if you're fair, it makes it easier, and I'm much more, like, we documented a big trade I did for a Michael Jordan Exquisite, 0405, 95 Gem Mint 10. There's only 2 of them in the world, and they're very hard to grade, these kinds of cards. And the guy who traded with me, shout out to Sam, he was very fair, was straightforward, and the deal was done. I didn't have to win. He didn't have to win. It was a straightforward deal, right? So
you both get what you want.
Right. And I think that's becoming more, that demarcation line is becoming lesser and lesser. There's still prick dealers that are going to, try and just really ream you. And then I saw we say the fleecing of people that are going up to dealers. I don't like that. Do I need to win on some sides? Maybe if it's lower end and a lot of stuff that I don't really want, sure. But at the same time, I think you're not getting those crazy offers. And we have some people that come up and just try it.
Sure.
I mean, whatever. They're always going to have some in the crowd, right? So, but yeah, it's been pretty fair.
Well, good. All right. Well, we're crossing our demarcation line. We're having fun. We're raking Jameel up. We're going to have a great conversation about Cardladder, so you'll certainly want to be a part of that. We'll take a break, come back and chat some more here on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
This is Jameel, owner of the Meelypops shop, Gainesville's home for collectibles of all sorts, including every single type of sports cards, whether it be Panini, Topps, Leaf, Upper Deck. We have it. Come on in, get yourself a box, a pack, get yourself some supplies, get into our breaks, get your Pokemon, get your Yu-Gi-Oh! All the other different kinds of TCG products that we carry and shop are always fully in stock. You can find our stuff on our website as well, meelypops.com. That's another way you can interact with the store, or you can just come into the shop. We're located off 39th Avenue by I-75 behind Walgreens and Sonny's. Stop on by. We're open every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you can check us out on our social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, whatnot, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'd love to see you. Come on out to the shop, have some fun, be a part of the card community here in Gainesville, and always go Gators.
All right, back at it here on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast. Jeff and Jameel. Well, segment 2 is always our guest section, and it's always tough to live up to the greatness of each and every one of them. But Jameel has done it again. He has found someone spectacular after being at the National, and it's a name that for those who have listened to the early podcasts, we have mentioned Cardladder quite a bit. So it's fun to bring on Chris McGill and have some good conversation.
Yeah, I ran into Chris he's walking through the National. I mean, you see everybody here and there. He's a hobby celebrity because he's a co-founder of this tool. It's just changed the game, I say. And I said, hey, you got to be on the podcast, and I texted him a few days ago, and he was like, let's do it. So he's here, and without any further ado, I got Chris McGill here from Cardladder. I think we can see you. We're bringing him on through virtual. So how you doing, Chris?
Doing great, and I really appreciate you guys having me on. I was checking out some of the episodes of the podcast. I'm honored to be one of the early guests on the show.
Thanks, man. You and I know how exhausting the National is. So first off, when did you get back home?
I'm still not back home. We went to the National in Cleveland, and right now I'm hanging out in Michigan for a little while, and then we're going to go to Fanatics Fest, which is in New York, obviously, at the Javits Center, and that's coming up in, I guess, about 2.5 weeks.
Yes, correct. I will see you there as well. We're set up. We'll have more talk about that and the big Apple refractors that they're putting out through Topps Chrome only at there, and that'll be a fun event. But I know I know it's hard to process the National sometimes. It takes about a week for me usually to fully defragment and process it all. But I want the Chris McGill take on the National 2024. And I also need to know, because you are a Jordan guy, you are a basketball guy, you are a supreme collector, maybe your favorite pickup.
Absolutely. Okay, so I thought the National was invigorating, as it usually is. It was. It always gives a jolt to me when I'm there and I'm able to pick up a card, or I'm just able to talk to other collectors, have people show me their collections, talk to dealers who are, flying through deals and making moves. Just the energy is high. It's inspiring. It's even inspiring to people who don't go, but who watch content like yours or some of the content that other production teams put out during and after the National. It inspires people. I was talking to my brother who wasn't able to make the National this year, and he was sitting at home having a bad case of FOMO and watching all these people make pickups and make deals. And all of a sudden he's on a buying spree, buying cards on eBay and other online marketplaces. So great energy. I had a great show. It was a lot of fun. And my favorite pickup, I have it right here. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to show it very clearly to the camera.
Ooh, it's great. Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, McCaffrey.
This is the 2017 Select Concourse level Black Prism 1/1 of McCaffrey, which is a card I had been looking for half a decade, and it walked up to my booth.
That is crazy. So it was fate.
Yeah. I mean, it's fate. I mean, he's got it.
Like when and it's fascinating to me because then I'm still sort of a novice in all this stuff, and you guys just you talk the business, so to speak. But like, why that card? Like, why have you been looking at it for half a decade? Like, are you you like him, or what's going on with that? And I guess the weird part to me is there's all these like different names. There's like 4 or 5 names just for the one card to get it.
Yeah, it's a great question. I set my sights on amassing the best possible Christian McCaffrey collection that I could about 4 or 5 years ago. And I just started chipping away at trying to get all his best cards. And the way that I would approach it now, especially as I've learned more, is just constructing a master checklist of every rookie year McCaffrey card. And that's a really interesting exercise because he's in the same rookie season as Mahomes. So it can be a really fruitful research project if you want to learn about the rookie offering from 2017, which features already one of the greatest football players ever in Patrick Mahomes. So I would go through, I'd identify all of the cards of McCaffrey, then I would whittle it down to the ones that I thought were the best. And typically speaking, the cards that I think are the best are the rarest parallel to the true rookie card from each base set. And then I just try to find them and try to get them. So that's kind of the process in a nutshell. And this is in my opinion, this is McCaffrey's true rookie card from Select. This is his first appearing card in Select. And this is the rarest parallel to it, which is the Black 1/1. So it was a card that I'd always thought about. I'd never seen a picture of it. I wasn't even sure if it had ever been pulled out of a box before.
Wow.
And
crazy, right?
One day, there it is. Just walked up.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And I don't know if it's a San Francisco thing or not, because I was looking at your Instagram and you got this, Brock Purdy gold prism. So like, what's like? Do you like Brock too? Is this like a new guy you're collecting?
Yeah, I do. I'm a little bit newer to collecting quarterbacks. I picked up Patrick Mahomes' Select Black 1/1 last year before the season started, which I was really excited about. But yeah, McCaffrey going to San Francisco definitely put Brock Purdy on my radar. I watch all the 49ers games. But the thing that sold me on Purdy was that during his rookie season, he finished 6th in QBR, which is ESPN's proprietary catch-all metric for quarterbacks. And then this season, he led the league pretty much wire to wire in QBR, and he finished 1st in QBR. And the winner of QBR has won the MVP 6 of the last 8 seasons. The only exceptions being Purdy this year, and then there's another exception that just slips my mind. But basically, when a quarterback wins the QBR title, they tend to win MVP. So I was extremely impressed by Purdy and the fact that he led the league in that important metric. So after this, but I still wasn't sold on him completely. But I watched the whole season, watched him go to the Super Bowl, watched him play the Chiefs to a draw in regulation, watched him even put 3 points on the board in overtime. And I just, even though they lost, I was so impressed. He's young. A lot of people doubt him. That's the type of play, but his metrics are great. I love that type of player. So after Super Bowl, I went and I bought one of the 2 PSA 10 copies of his Prism Gold rookie, and that I'd like to have a little exposure to the Brock Purdy market. And I think that's how I'm going to do it.
Before I get to the next question, that answer that Chris just gave us is the 2024 hobby answer to why we collect. And I think some people don't make the connection. They think, oh, you just like cards and players and, that's why you buy what you buy. And it's like, no, there is levels to this where we study, we research. Like when you talk about the Black 101 Christian McCaffrey, that is the equivalent to the courtside for basketball. And like if you look at Wembanyama's courtside stuff right now, it's crazy. But there's different levels to these things. And so as Chris is sharing these things, like these are the conversations I'm having with people at the booth. It's no longer, hey, what's your best on this, blah, blah, blah. It's like why I want to buy that card. What do you think about that card? Where do you think that card's going to be in 5-10 years? And I love the CMC stuff because everybody, you know what it is, in the card world, let's buy and flip quarterbacks, but no love for the running backs. And this is a guy who I think is, there's a reason why Chris is collecting Christian McCaffrey. So I thank you for that answer because I think it encapsulates perfectly.
And even with that answer, I want to kind of go on to that a little bit. He wasn't this first pick, so it wasn't this high-end card at the beginning because he's Mr. Irrelevant. He's the last basically pick in the draft. Do you get then that lower, and then you have that investment piece that could potentially help you even more down the road?
I'll let you answer that, Chris.
Yeah, I think that there is value in players like Brock Purdy. They don't come around often. Usually, the media and league discussions and the fans, they usually tend to form a consensus around who the best players are. But sometimes there are players who they don't fit the prototypical mold of what the quarterback is supposed to look like, or they're drafted late and they just never really have a high profile, or they play in a system that is very favorable, which is what Brock Purdy has too, which is part of what he has to prove is that's not just the system, that's him. But you can find these guys who they fly under the radar for a while, and if they're truly great players, they won't always fly under the radar, but they fly under the radar for a while. And I love to use some of the advanced statistics that each of the leagues have to sort of identify those players. And Purdy fits the mold. His metrics are outstanding. He actually has the highest EPA per play in NFL history right now. Mahomes is second, and that can change. Obviously, he's very young in his career, but what I saw in the playoffs this year from him too, just kind of when it comes to winning time, he was able to pull out some clutch wins in tough games. So yeah, I do think that there are opportunities when you're looking at players. And it's similar to cards. Like there are sometimes sets and parallels to cards that fly under the radar, but that have a lot of great factors going for them. And sometimes eventually the market catches up, and so that's kind of the gamble. Is that will Brock Purdy or will this particular card or set will it claim its rightful place? Or will it, fade off into oblivion and just become a footnote in history? That's part of the fun of it. It's like seeing what happens.
Yeah, gold nuggets right there from
awesome.
Chris. Let's talk Cardladder for a second here, bud. So I'm going to give you a two-part question. One, I want to know about the reception that you guys had at the National, because I would say in the last 3 years, I know Cardladder's origins of it, but like the last 3 years as I'm watching and seeing Cardladder grow, it's becoming inserted in the vernacular of everybody, specifically the younger demographics in the card world. But now I'm starting to see it more with the VCP guys, with the guys who don't know how to use a phone, so they use Alt and they just take a picture because they're lazy, right? So, like, I'm starting to see Cardladder utilize more. So I would love to know kind of the reception he had. And then two, I met a lot of new people this year, more so than ever, that told me I've first national and first, like, I'm just been in the hobby for 30 days or 6 months or a year. So maybe like give the people the elevator pitch on why they should be using Cardladder, because I think it's such a vital tool. And I can't say how many people I meet at our South Carolina shop or Gainesville shop, and I'm just educating them like, why are you not on this? So if you can answer those two questions, I think it would go a long way for our listeners.
Yeah, it's been a slow build. We launched Cardladder over 4 years ago now, which is mind-boggling to think about where the time went. And we just slowly accumulated collectors who like to use the product and who have been instrumental in helping us develop it over the course of the last 4 years. And the product started as an MVP launch. It was a true minimum viable product. It was just a database of a few hundred cards. And Josh, Cardboard Chronicles, Josh Johnson, our CTO, is a one-man wrecking ball when it comes to technology, back-end development, front-end development. His skills as a software engineer are incredible. And when you combine that skill set with his knowledge as a collector, the talent stack just starts to become real unicorn status in this industry. And so through the combination of Josh's malleability and plasticity as a thinker who can receive feedback, take ideas, implement his own ideas, implement the ideas of our team, and build a product that really serves the needs of what collectors are looking for when they're conducting research and trying to make the most intelligent and informed decision they can when they're buying and selling and trading cards, especially in a real-time environment like the National, where you need to be able to move quickly and think on your feet quickly. I think that's at the root of what the Cardladder product is. It's been a slow build, and now we're pretty ubiquitous. When you go to a show, there's definitely a lot of people using the app. And shout out to VCP as well, which is one of the originators and the OGs in the space for pricing, and then even going back further to the Beckett magazines and to Dr. Beckett, who, in my opinion, the way that he evolved and transformed the industry with the Beckett magazines and the price guides and the editorial stuff that they were doing during the 90s is a big reason why we're here today. But yeah, that's basically it. I mean, we try to provide the most comprehensive, insightful, and effective pricing tool in the industry.
I love how everybody still says Beckett, because I mean that's that was my childhood of the Bo Jackson and all the trying to save each one of them and come up with that. So it's kind of cool. When I look at some of this stuff, and obviously still being a newbie, can you explain like the market manipulation a little bit? Look at some of this eBay stuff and maybe people not paying, and when you guys look at what you do with Cardladder, like what are just some of the advantages of that?
Sure. Well, market manipulation is scary. In my opinion, it's fraud, and it's a pretty big problem that impacts our industry. And it can be costly if it successfully impacts a buyer who spends more money on a card than a natural fraud-free market would have mandated. And so we see it on eBay, but it's not just on eBay. Lots of marketplaces are susceptible to it, and different marketplaces take different measures to discipline it. There are some auction houses that will sue you if you leave an unpaid invoice with them, which is harsh but good. I think it's requiring people to honor their contracts. I don't know of many cases or any of eBay suing people, but I do know that they will take quick disciplinary action on at least some of the accounts that are engaging in obvious shill bidding or other market manipulation. But some of the forms that this takes is, this is a hypothetical scenario, but I don't think it's too far off from reality. There could be somebody who owns copies of a card, and they see other copies of the card come up for sale on eBay, and they use their eBay accounts, or they use, second, third alias accounts that they own to engage in dishonest bidding. They have no intention of actually paying for that card. They just would like to drive up the auction price so that when people go to research what they should pay for this card in the future, they see these archived sold listings that indicate that this card is worth more than it actually is. And that's where platforms like ours and the other platforms in the industry, need to be vigilant and trying to exclude that data or flag that data where possible. And that's always been one of our modus operandi since we started was, now at this point we have 4 dedicated researchers. When we started, we had 2, but dedicated researchers who review sales for specific cards. We have about 60,000 different cards that our researchers manage. And every day we look at every incoming sale of those 60,000 cards. We look at the bidding patterns. We look at the feedback scores of the bidders. We look at the feedback score of the seller. We look to make sure that the item description and the listing title matches up with what's shown in the picture. We look at lots of different factors. We look at other comparable sales of the card in the recent past. We look to make sure that if there are any obvious signs of market manipulation or fraud or shill bidding, then we will exclude or flag that particular item from our data set. We're not perfect. We have made mistakes. We will make mistakes in the future in doing that. But we try to make an effort to give the cleanest data set possible. And our site features a lot of different indexes that sort of take a broader snapshot of what the market looks like right now. And those indexes, it's imperative that those indexes don't have these outlier data points and that they don't have this fraudulent data coming in. And so our vigilance is also applicable there, that when we have a player index for Randy Moss or Tom Brady or something, or Paul Skeens, that the data that's coming in for that player and is being measured by their index, that it's not junk data. We can't have a situation of garbage in, garbage out. So our indexes in particular are comprised only of cards that we actually review data for. And then those indexes become instrumental when you're looking through our sales history and you see that little CL value when you click on a sale. That CL value is derived from an algorithm that's based on our indexes. So we take the data, the cleanliness of the data, we take it very seriously. That's always been one of our competitive advantages.
Yeah, I mean, Cardladder is a tool that it becomes synonymous with the word comps, and I'm sure that in a way cheapens it for you, because you're like, whoa, that's just like the bow on the package, because there's so much more to this app. I've tried my best to educate people on different ways to utilize the tool and utilize all the different elements of it. What's one way you personally use Cardladder? I think that's a question I've always thought, like, what's one of your favorite aspects of the app, minus the word comps?
Well, one of the best ways that I like to use it is when I'm doing any sort of research on a card or building a checklist for a player that I'm thinking about starting to collect. I love to go to sales history and just search broadly, filter, sort maybe by the highest. Like it's always fascinating. What's a player's most expensive card that's ever sold? So like if it was McCaffrey, I'd go in, I'd type his name in a sales history. I'd look at his most expensive cards. I recently was making a checklist for Brock Purdy prior to thinking about collecting him as well. And I went and I looked up what his most expensive cards were. I identified what all of his true rookie cards were. Then I tried to identify all the rarest parallels to those true rookie cards. But then once I identified them, I was like, this is cool, but I want to see what they look like. So I would go to sales history. I would search them. If the card had sold, there's an image attached with it. I'd take the image. I'd save it into my folder. And now I know what the cards look like. So that's one. And then that can help me decide which ones I like and which ones I don't. So I just love using sales history. There's so many different ways you can get information out of looking at previous listings and images and prices and so forth.
Yeah, I fully agree. I can't tell you how many times I've gone through histories and just looked at different elements, and I could go on for days on how to utilize that tool. But come to the shop, I'll tell you that. So for time's sake, we're gonna move ahead to our last segment, which is our rapid fire segment. We could talk 4 hours, Chris. You are a hobby giant in a lot of ways because of the word data, right? I mean, I think of what you guys have done to help consolidate that and help people. So thank you, number one, for this tool. It is so inexpensive to get on a Cardladder account. I can't tell you how many people, Chris, who are dealing in $20,000 and $30,000 deals, and they won't pay for a Cardladder subscription. I'm thinking to myself, like, it's so reasonable. just get off that. It's that mentality in the car world, right? But I want into our rapid fire segment. It's something we do here. It's quick. I want you to give me what comes to mind. It's called our Titan MRI Meelypod rapid fire segment. If you're down for it, I got about 8-9 questions here, and I'd love to see what just kind of comes to mind on Chris McGill's brain. You ready?
Let's go.
All right. First question for Chris is: exquisite patch auto or a very rare 90s insert basketball?
Rare 90s.
Short-term or long-term hold, what do you enjoy more?
Long-term.
All right, BGS 9.5, it's got the sweet subs, probably 210s, 295s, a Gem Mint Plus. or a PSA 10?
I have to recuse myself because Cardladder is owned by the parent company of PSA, so I should just not give an answer on that one.
I like that answer. That's a good one. Prism Silver or a Topps Chrome base refractor?
I'm such a Prism sim. Give me the Prism Silver.
Prism Silver, okay. Steph or LeBron?
LeBron.
Will we ever see a Cardladder TikTok where you and Josh do trending dances?
I never even thought those words together in a sentence until now. So, but maybe now there will be.
Hey, that's all I need is a maybe, just so I can see that. How many rings or rungs, not rings? How many rungs are on the actual Cardladder?
60,000. There's 60,000 different cards on the ladder being tracked actively.
Nice. Biggest come up you've ever had on a card, and again, you don't have to talk in numbers, but just percentage maybe.
Is it considered a come up if I haven't sold it, but it just appreciated in value?
Yeah, using today as a metric, yeah.
It would have to be buying a Luka Doncic Prism Gold BGS 9.5 in June of 2019. Bought it for $8,500.
Wow. Well, we can fill in the rest on that one. So, and I see the Mavs shirt on. We got the Mavs hoodie on as well. We see here. So.
Oh yeah. We Christina and I, another co-founder of Cardladder, we moved to Dallas a little over 2 years ago to become season ticket holders. We are in Dallas for the purpose of watching this team. So we moved to Dallas. We live directly across the street from American Airlines Center. We just game day, 5 minutes before tip off, we just walk out our door and go right to the games. We are fanatics.
Yeah, I love it.
Have you gotten a high five Mark Cuban yet?
No, have not high five Mark Cuban yet. Maybe one day.
There you go.
All right, last one for the Titan MRI Meelypod Rapid Fire with Chris McGill from Cardladder. Make sure you guys are following this guy. Also, Chris Hoge, House of Jordans. Your favorite moment this year at the National?
It would have to be this McCaffrey just walking up to my booth.
Not knowing it existed, and at the National, things come up, and we have no idea, and it's wham, bam, there it is,
like,
right?
Did you slow play it? Did you play it off or act like, this is like no big deal?
Yeah, it was so shocking that it showed up that that was my initial reaction, was just to go to my poker face and to remain calm and just, because people know that I'm looking for McCaffrey's best cards. And so, but the person who brought it to me, he, Chad from Journer Sports Cards, he's always been just a great friend in the hobby. So a great, trade partner, or he's brought other cards to us before, and I just knew that it would be fair and it would be reasonable, and it was. So
well, Chris, you were great as well. Appreciate you coming on and talking about everything. It was a lot of fun, certainly, and knowledge for me every time we get to do this kind of stuff.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you. Check out the crossover on Instagram Friday nights. Great hobby talk, basketball. You'll see Chris and Josh, co-founders of Cardladder. Make sure you guys do go check that out. Thanks again, man. We appreciate you, and we're looking forward to next year's National and more Cardladder users.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, more on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast when we come back. Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans. All right, we welcome you back to the Meelypod Hobby Podcast. Jeff and Jameel here, broadcasting from Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. All right, well, so much national talk, so much wax, and of course, if you got any kind of wax, Wax Stat is the easiest way to get real-time price comps of wax boxes, sealed products. You can do it right from your mobile phone or your laptop. Save money and time. Get the best deal on wax by visiting waxstat.com. And We've got the best of the best talking about Wax Stat. We welcome back Al Turwell and Jameel. Do your thing, man.
Well, Al, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, Jeff, Jameel, how are you guys doing? Thank you for having me on the show again.
Yeah, great to see you.
Of course, yeah, doing well. I kind of getting my voice back, so I'm doing all right. We're at the National. I saw Al probably 4 times. Every time came by, gave me a fist bump, and he knew I was busy. I knew he was busy. He was perusing. So, real quick question, but we're back from the National. You saw a lot of wax. This is a wax segment. What did you think about pricing it at the National? And was there anything that kind of you thought was like a hot mover or you saw a lot of that was being ripped?
Good question. So first of all, the National was fantastic. The number of people, the crowds that were out there was just absolutely overwhelming. I wish it was a little longer than 4 or 5 days. I wish it just kept on going. But I'm looking forward to going back there in Chicago in 2025. As far as wax goes, the big releases over the last 7 to 14 days is what I was really paying attention to, seeing how the piles were just, moving on the dealers' tables. For those that have never been to a National or to a large card show, the big dealers are out here at the National, and they bring their truckfuls of their wax boxes, and they have them stacked up. And as the week goes by, I started noticing a lot of the wax just starts to disappear, which means that things are hot. People are ripping. People were ripping at the tables that were adjacent to all the dealer tables. So as far as the wax box goes and as far as ripping goes, people were totally on top of it. The things that I was personally looking towards were the new stuff like Topps Chrome Baseball, whether it's Hobby, Jumbo, Breakers Delight. And a lot of people were coming up to me talking about Soccer Copa. Was one of the latest releases, especially in the aftermath of all the European soccer tournaments and the Copa America that just completed a couple weeks ago. So those were the big ones that people were asking me. As far as pricing goes, it was not a surprise that things were slightly a little inflated. There's a lot of costs involved with shipping and bringing all these boxes over to the National. So they were a little higher than average. But with that said, I'm sure there was room for negotiation, and the fact that the inventory was depleting over time showed that there was a high demand for wax in general.
Yeah, it was hot. It was we brought up a ton of cases, wax single boxes. People were very fair. I thought, we priced our stuff really well, and we moved through about half of what we brought up, which was a lot of inventory. I think people were also taking advantage of those redemption programs, right? So you have all the promo packs. People are pushing. Are those promo packs and all those promo items, are they on WaxStat? Will they be on WaxStat?
They will be as soon as all the retailers start listing. So we're reactive to the market and how, dealers are getting back in front of their computers, telling their staff, this is the new stuff that we have, and, we need to put it online. And so the silver packs from the National, which are handed out by redemptions, or you had to go buy it from a sponsored wax dealer, and you would go to the Topps or Panini place, and you would be able to get these silver packs. Or other means to get these packs. And I know in years past, these National exclusives or any kind of exclusive where you can only get them at this specific show are going to be hot commodities, whether it's for your direct retail online shop or what I've seen in the past. Breakers have been very, very good at taking these packs and selling it to their customers and their audiences.
Meelypops breaking. I'm actually breaking tonight. We had team Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday this week. We're breaking all sorts of packs, so you can check us out on WaxStat and see how we compare on those prices when we get up all our listings. So looking forward to that. Last question, man, from the National, Al, the Wax Man. What was your did you get a favorite pickup on a box, or did you see a box that you were just blown away by?
So somewhere in the back of my head, and God bless my bank account, I am, I'm eyeing some boxes. I was actually, before the National, I looked at some of the pictures from the really, really hot times of 2021, and I wanted to compare some of those prices to what I saw over the past week or so, and some of the basketball, 2003, 2004. Basketball was, is always going to be a hot commodity, and they'll be hotter as the supplies of those start to dwindle down. But it's been amazing to see 2003, 2004 Topps Chrome Basketball, only 3 years ago, they were going for 20K per hobby box, and I'm starting to see them around for 9K. So while it's still expensive and a big chunk of change, it's becoming a little bit more realistic to go chase after those LeBron cards that haven't surfaced up yet.
Yeah, yeah.
That's sweet. Someday.
Yeah, one day.
Well, Al, always great talking to you. You look cool. You make flat bills look cool, man. We got to get Jameel on that mode. He's forming that thing.
It's got to be.
That's got to be a Cali West Coast thing.
That's a Cali.
That's a West
Cali
Coast thing
for sure.
It's the West Coast thing, and there's still a little kid at heart somewhere in here.
We know
the muscles and the back muscles don't 5 days of walking around. It's a little painful. But with that said, I was completely ecstatic to be in the National and meet up with good old friends like Jameel out there. I hope to see Jeff in Chicago next year.
I'll be there.
Let's do it.
Yep, that's what it's all about. All right.
Thanks, man.
So again, save time and money. Get the best deal on wax. Waxstat.com. It's as cool as he looks in the flat bill. Al, thanks, man.
Jeff, Jameel, thank you so much.
See you, buddy. Pretty cool talking to Al. Just being able to, there's the man who's behind the tools. We did it with Cardladder today with Chris. I had times where people came up to the booth and would try to negotiate on wax, and we had priced stuff even lower than our website just because we wanted to give people deals at the National. And I would be able to scan the UPC of a brand new Topps Midnight UFC box or whatever it was, and then they could see oh wow, we are the cheapest, and they are getting a good deal. So that's a cool tool for the dealer side to kind of reinforce. And even if I wasn't the cheapest, I would be in that range where I could show them, hey, you could buy it from this person, this, but here it is right now, and we're trying to make a deal with you. So that, I think, is another level now we're getting into with the tech side, meeting the National, meeting these big shows and the hobby, and it's only going to grow. So I'm excited to see where that goes, and thankful for not just what Waxstat has done, but also Chris and Cardladder, because our entire team used Cardladder left and right this show. So
it is. It's fascinating. I just understanding the tools that are at your leisure right there to be able to pull up and obviously do it the right way, and then just I don't know, it's kind of just anything imaginable is and I think about some of the things that I saw videos on, and just ticket stubs from games, or autographs, and different stuff. Really, really special. And I think the neatest part as we continue to go through this, and I know this is episode 9, and we're going to get to 1,000,009 as we continue to go, but it's just how awesome everybody is to each other. There isn't any of the feuding or trying to outbest somebody or do something different, and it just how welcoming the card community is, the hobby community, and just making it fun for everybody to enjoy what they're really doing.
Yeah, you want to see that in really anything, right? I mean, I think of sports in general. It's such an encompassing thing when you team sports, you get to play together, looking out for one another, all those kinds of things. And same thing in the hobby. It's just this team of people that I'm sure someone heard about that Christian McCaffrey, and knew that he had it. Maybe they wanted to make it a surprise, but they brought it to him because they knew he was, collecting him. And again, it's not like it's Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. These are massive, massive names. But Christian McCaffrey, a young guy, but he's a running back, so he's not as sought after. But again, his career could become one of the greatest running backs of all time, right? And so for him to have someone approach him at the show is really cool. And how he mentioned Journer Sports and the guys that kind of facilitated that and pushed the collector to bring it. That's the way it should be.
All right. Well, you were asking everybody else what they liked, or what was that big get for them? Was there something for you, something you saw, or something you wanted that you're now gonna be like Chris was and go try to covet?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of cards that came to our booth that I wanted, but I have to think from the business side too. And everybody who did come to Meelypops booth, which was a lot of you, thank you for the buying and selling. A lot of you sold a ton of stuff to us that we were able to resell. A lot of you brought in stuff to trade, which we were able to take in. There are a lot of cool items that we brought in. Near the last days, I picked up a Vince Lombardi cut check autograph that was BGS 910, which is out of a product, and it's a very high grade. So it was really cool to see that. I've had that card in the past and sold it. But the one card for me that kind of made the show, and I had people wanting to buy it even after I traded for it, was that Michael Jordan I kind of alluded to earlier. It's a massive card. It's well into the 5 figures, and it is pop too, and it's got a patch on it that is like none other. And so when you think about modern art in cards, that's when I think of this Exquisite brand.
Okay.
And Exquisite is kind of just like, it only came out in the 2000s. Upper Deck made it. It's the pinnacle of card making, really. And it was Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, all in that era. And so you have all of that merged into one. And I just have this card now, and I'm thinking, I was talking to Meredith about it. And I just said, maybe we just put this away and hold. It's kind of a PC item, a tray with, PC cards and stuff like that. So, that deal is done, and it's a card that I think I'll hold on to for first time. I want to enjoy it for a little bit, at least.
You have to.
So that would be the one, but there was some crazy cards there, Jeff. I mean, I mentioned off air, we were talking about the White Langford Superfractor that came in. Couldn't make a deal with a guy, but I got his information, and maybe we'll be able to make a deal for that, the Topps Chrome Superfractor. And so cards like that have come through. I know our good buddy Freddie was at the show, and he was a Spurrier guy, and he said he found only three people that had rare Spurriers, and I think he got them all.
Wow.
So I love hearing that,
Well, and I think leading up to this, we were talking about just the cards and the way they go up and down, and if you get hurt or not hurt, and things like that. I guess probably Acuna wasn't as hot as maybe he was last year and doing all the things that he was doing. But I look at a guy like Paul Skeens, and you mentioned Langford, so maybe the two hottest baseball rookies. Were they crazy? Like, was Skeens a big deal up there?
Yeah, people wanted Skeens, and then they also inserted his auto into the Topps redemption packs. Al mentioned it, where they had these packs where if you buy certain boxes, you get a pack for it. And so he was in that. People were chasing that like crazy. I think the 1/1 Superfractor National Paul Skeens auto was pulled, but there's still lots and lots of other ones that you can get. He was by far in baseball phenoms, young people that the guy everybody wants. It's tricky because of pitchers. They always say don't invest in pitchers and cards, but now we have a guy with an arm who's National League starter in the All-Star game, who potentially could be the NL MVP, which is crazy to think about, right? But what does that do, right, for that position, for cards, just thinking about his long-term. So it's exciting to kind of follow that. It's a position player that has redefined, I think, investment for cards.
But it is cool. But it's gambling. It's Steven Strasburg. It's Kerry Wood. It's Mark Pryor. All these guys that we all thought were going to be amazing, and then you never know. But he's got the body type to certainly sustain it, and obviously pretty darn good. Yeah,
just like you. The right body types. That's what we need.
Well, if you think we are good, then put us a comment on YouTube. Remember, we still have the Olympics going on. We still have our giveaway for the month, and that is Grant Holloway. He has not run over in Paris yet, but when he does, he's got a chance to win a gold medal, and you could be holding one of his two shoes. We've got two of those to give away this month. So tell them how they can make that happen. Yeah,
Facebook and YouTube. It's our last chance to do it. We'll have the winner picked by next show. It's your absolute last chance to do it. Just go back on any one of our July videos, including today, and just mention your favorite, Gator Olympian. That's all you have to do. Very simple, but just make a comment. Tell us why you liked your favorite Gator Olympian. We had 44 of them in this Olympics. We've had plenty more prior. Shout out to Caleb Dressel, who's already got a gold medal.
Yeah.
So things like that, and we'll talk more about the Topps Chrome Olympic product maybe next week. Maybe we'll rip some of that. It's a really cool product. They did a knock-up job with that one. So
that's what it's all about. All right. Again, a lot of ways you can follow us, 39 different platforms where you can find this podcast, or, of course, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter Live, all of that good stuff. Well, I know it was good stuff for you up there. Made me jealous. The FOMO is certainly there, but I will go back and try to watch all the fun videos and stuff you put on Instagram and everything else. So welcome back, man.
Thanks, man. It's good to be home, sleeping in your bed. You know what I mean? It's good to have that. The one thing about Cleveland, I'll say, I kind of agree with Joakim Noah. The downtown area, and he's like, he said, who goes and visits Cleveland? You go for the National.
Yeah.
But the hotels and some of the accommodations, we got to work on it, Cleveland. Let's just say that. We'll keep it at that.
Yeah, there you go. Make it happen, Cleveland, for the next time to be able to do it. All right, until the next time, Jameel Muhammad, Jeff Cardozo, you've been listening to the Meelypod Hobby Podcast.
Thank you for joining us. We will see you next Thursday at noon.